All right, we're going to dive on in. So, as I said, good morning. My name is Beth Reichert. I am the Director of Operations here with Higher Level, and a friend in business to many small businesses, in particular healthcare providers and small practices, and super excited to be able to talk about just the type of conversations that I'm having with individuals in industries such as the ones that you all are in, and really industry trends, what we're seeing, things to get excited about, and just a good reminder that you're never too small to make a step forward in people management and HR strategies. So without further ado, I'll tell you a little bit about me if I've never worked with you before. So I'm the technical person of the family. I've been working in the payroll industry for about 11 years, and I've seen all sorts of softwares. I've been on all sorts of payroll programs, and I've seen the evolution of people management when it comes to payroll and HR practices, and have been lucky enough to be able to evolve and grow in that. And with that, again, help businesses grow and evolve in their own people management strategies. So if as we're going throughout the presentation, feel free to put any questions into the chat. I'm also more than happy to do one-on-one conversations with you. It's my favorite thing to do. And so you'll have my contact information, of course, at the end of this as well. So let's go ahead and get started. So just again, background on Higher Level, we really strive to be a really good partner in business when it comes to HR tech and payroll software in general. Of course, the core of what we do is always going to be the payroll and tax compliance piece, which is everybody's employees need to get paid on time, right? But a good chunk of the rest of that is really the HR space and the total employee management. And so sometimes if you are currently working with us and maybe our relationship is a little transactional, and we pay your employees, which, like, hello, most important thing to do, stay a little open-minded to some of the other potentials with the iSolve platform that we're going to be talking about at the end of this. And just really try to think about, because again, we have this niche area where we really support a lot of businesses, a lot of dentists, a lot of chiropractors, a lot of small medical practices. Through the years, we've just found ourselves with a lot of customers like that. And it's been really exciting to kind of cultivate really a software experience and just really be a kind of like a counselor when it comes to these industries, to listen to what pain points and challenges. So I'm going to share, again, what I've been talking to them about in relation to healthcare challenges and people management strategies. So the number one things, of course, is going to be compliance, taxation, scheduling, time management, time off, and just, of course, these admin tasks. In a lot of cases, businesses may necessarily not have the funds available to nor does it make sense to hire a full-time HR payroll person. And a lot of times it's an office manager or maybe even the practice owner that are having to wear this hat of getting people paid. Well, when that happens and there's a person that's spread thin and just all of their responsibilities, that's where things fall through the cracks. And that's why it is so important to have a really good software foundation underneath you to be able to house a lot of the compliance things, because most of the time when you're wearing a lot of hats, it tends to be those compliance things that aren't super top of mind that may come back to bite you. So that, as well as employee retention, your market, your industry, it is hard. We know there's a shortage, in our recruitment space. We hear that from our partners. We know there's a shortage, and it is hard work. So the happier you can keep your employees, the better off you're going to be, because the most expensive cost to you as a business is going to be a labor expense, of course. So retaining and attracting top talent, that's for everyone, but in particular, this space is hard. Balancing compliance and costs. When do I put money towards something? When do I don't? When do I not? I mean, being budget conscious is, of course, incredibly important, as rising costs matter for all of us. But how do I get an ROI back from some of this stuff, because I'm not hiring somebody to take care of this full time? And then, of course, keeping staff engaged and productive. Everyone likes access to their information. Everyone wants to know what's going on. You may have a few people here and there that just they'll never log into their self-service portal, no matter how badly they need a check stub. But for the most part, people like to have access to their information. So, why are healthcare leaders turning to technology? Of course, AI, right? That's the buzzword, right? That's the evolution of this stuff is it's now AI and tech in general. But tech itself is really important to help keep you organized. And so 62% of people in your industry are already on an HCM platform. What is HCM? It's okay to ask that. Human capital management, or HRIS, tomato, tomato. So 62% are already on one, but 69% are considering switching. And I really hope if you're a partner of ours, you're not following into that 69%, but I'll tell you when and why that happens. It's because you're trying to figure out how to offer competitive benefits. You're probably just doing the status quo right now, and there's just all this manual stuff. I've got a spreadsheet to keep up with PTO. I got to log OSHA incidents. Oh, my training. I'm in the state of Illinois. I have to do sexual harassment training. I have to track all this stuff. And so it just piles and piles and piles to where you think, I may need to switch. And maybe you're looking to streamline some things. And the most important part is that you're having a partner that can support and talk you through that. So key drivers, of course, lower cost, better compliance, and stronger service. Capabilities for healthcare providers. So the ability to build good teams, delivering outstanding employee experience. A happy employee means probably a happy patients, right? Somebody's grumbling about where they work or something happened, and maybe they need their own healthcare and they don't have it yet. All that stuff that translates onto the patient's experience. So you definitely want to keep your employees happy, and that way they're not turning over as well, and then meeting compliance reporting needs. So key benefits of HR tech software. I'm going to drive it home. You're never too small to become more efficient. If you have 5 employees, 15, or 500, it doesn't matter. There is always room for improvement when it comes to people management. So key benefits include payroll-based journaling. So the general ledger entries and the integration, again, get out of that hand key trying to keep track of those costs for your accountant. Easy punching in and out. Clocking in and out should not be hard. It should be a very simple thing. And it should definitely, if you're still collecting paper timesheets, don't. I promise, talk to me. There's a better way. Comprehensive OSHA tracking, very important in this industry. Additional shift management, if you're having to do on-call shifts, and just have variable employees that work a different shift. A lot of people in the small practice space, it's usually a regular shift, but I know I've worked with several that are maybe in like mobile x-ray, mobile ultrasound type of organizations. And so shift management is really important to know who's going to be on call for some of that stuff. Automated workflows. What is an automated workflow? That means if an employee does something in the system, it notifies you for approval. That could be requesting time off. That could be updating their tax form, which is really big right now. It's tax season. So that's what an automated workflow is. Real-time ACA reporting. If you have over 50 full-time equivalent employees, you have to be really conscious of who you're offering benefits to, making sure those part-time people, if they're working full-time hours, that you're ACA compliant and you're offering them affordable health care. Attendance management. Did they get here late? Did they take a longer lunch, or did they leave early? I need to be notified when people are doing this, because if I'm not, I'm just giving away money. That's what attendance management is. And HR tracking and certifications, LPN, RN, any kind of text like that, CPR, all of those certifications, that has to be tracked by you all. So having a really good spot to track it, to notify employees when their certifications are set to expire, and also notifying you. So tracking to make sure you have your certifications, yes, but then those that do expire, get those workflows to where everybody's aware and in the know, so nothing laps. All right, so with that, clearly, I'm hoping a lot of this stuff is already making sense to you, but here's some top 5 HR technologies that we see in demand right now that we are being asked about. And a lot of this is going to drive into, again, employee satisfaction. So employee surveys asking who's happy, what improvements do we need to make around the office. A lot of times your employees have their boots on the ground and they probably have a really great perspective. And I think more and more small business owners are starting to realize I can do a survey just to pulse on how everybody's doing. Benefits enrollment. If you do not currently offer benefits and you would like to, or maybe you offer a very small package and you want to add more to it, but you aren't sure what to do, please get a hold of me. Somehow I ended up with this niche in benefits as well. And I'm really, really passionate about getting good enrollments and educating employees on what's available to them. But then also we have some really great partners that offer good benefit packages for everyone, small and large. So definitely benefits enrollment. Don't fill out that paper packet and send it to your carrier. Do that automated through a mobile app so people can do it at home with their families. Just those small touches are important. HR analytics, time and attendance, and learning management systems. So just a little bit more granular on this stuff. Employee surveys, as I talked about. So almost half of HR healthcare leaders are looking for tech to automate deployment of employee surveys. There's a lot of ways to send out surveys, but a lot of people are wanting to hear from their employees to see what they believe needs to be done to make the practices run a little bit better. Gather insights to improve retention engagement, and of course, automate feedback collection so you can see how you're performing year over year. It doesn't hurt. I can tell you that much. It does not hurt to do those employee surveys. So it's interesting to hear that this has become such a big trend. Benefits enrollment, as I mentioned, so 67% of employees find enrollment stressful. I always give this analogy. As I said, I help run a people management business, and my husband stresses out about open enrollment every year, forwards me the email. He's like, this is your thing. And I always joke and I say, well, what would you do if it wasn't my thing? He's like, I don't really know. What's the difference between an FSA and an HSA, and can I enroll, and all of that stuff? And I said, well, good thing you have me around. I'll take care of it. But not everybody has someone who's an expert in this space. And so it is scary and you don't know what to choose. So there's some really great tools now, again, with AI, keep the human in it, but help use AI to be able to say, okay, my kid needs braces this year. I have maybe a major medical procedure. I have childcare costs. So it can suggest to you what to enroll in based off of those personal situations and even personal financial data that's kept securely, and give suggestions as to, you know what, if you're getting dentist here, if you're getting braces, excuse me, here's what I recommend. If you have childcare costs, do an FSA for dependent care. So really, really cool stuff in the benefits enrollment space. All right, HR analytics. Really, this comes into like competitive compensation and compensation review. People are always going to wonder, can they make more money somewhere else? And I think it's important to back to those benefits for employees to understand that benefits are a huge part of their compensation package. So is paid time off. So HR analytics, the data that HR collects can provide insight to help drive decisions when it comes to predicting workforce needs and visualizing key performance indicators. So that's a lot of words for just saying it helps to be able to determine when you need to hire someone based off of patient needs. And just again, if you've got a lot of overtime hours for your staff, it may be time to hire a part-time person. Those sort of things. And when do I give pay raises? What kind of performance reviews do I need to do? So HR analytics is definitely, I feel like, one that's going to bump up to top spot here before too long, but a lot of interesting things fall into that. Time and attendance, of course, inaccurately recorded time entries can really tie up a lot of resources. If payroll takes you a really long time, please let me know. I actually this week did payroll with a client, actually two clients, because they just were telling me how long it takes them. And I just said, well, would you care if I did it with you so I can look for these efficiency gaps and how we can use software and ways to do things a little bit more streamlined. So time and attendance is usually the root cause of a lot of problems. And the last thing you want to do, because we've seen a lot of these here in the last, I don't know, couple of years, is you get employees that go to the Department of Labor and claim that they weren't paid wages. And guess what? You've got to provide like 7 years of timesheets. It's crazy. And you have to retain those timesheets for that long. And so again, back to the compliance, if you're audited by the Department of Labor and you don't have all those timesheets, you're kind of in a pickle. So having the software to track all of that stuff, to be able to accurately then report and accrue PTO based off of time and attendance is crucial. And last but not least, learning management systems. So again, something I'm really passionate about on here at Higher Level, we are lifetime learners because we have to be. We have to keep up with the compliance trends. We're in all sorts of states and we have clients in all different states. So we have to constantly be training, and we lean heavily into our learning management system. So nearly 1 in 5 HR leaders say they plan to invest in a learning management system. Employees demand the opportunities to expand their skill set and further their careers. And 36% of employees said that they are missing access to learning management training for training, excuse me. So learning management, I'm too small. I only have 10 employees. I don't need a learning management system. Yes, yes, it doesn't matter how small you are. Employees crave training. And if you really go back to it, as children, we go through 15 years of education, and we're used to being trained and taught things. So most people crave to continue learning and to make sure that you're doing the same simulated training across the board is really critical. So even if you're just using that training for new hires to make sure everybody has the same experience, or maybe you're using that training to be more compliant, a learning management system can go a long way. And again, even if it's just keeping track of who's done what from an admin perspective, it does so much. So you do not have to be a large organization to use a learning management system. It could be very tailored to you, or you can use generic trainings such as like OSHA logs and just patient experience, all sorts of stuff like that. And you'll take a peek at that here later. So we like to kind of consider all of these things and where they fall into really the life cycle of people management is employ, enable, and empower. So here within our tool belts, this is where everything falls. So we like to say recruitment to retirement, from the onboarding to finding top talent all the way through to nurturing staff so that way they feel like they have a good career path, they can continue learning, and you keep them happy. Here's a lot of those things that fall into this. So you'll get a copy of the presentation. Feel free to, while I'm not going to hit every single one of these because gosh, we'd be here all day and we'd probably have to go to happy hour, know that there's a lot of opportunity that falls within these items here. So before I jump into the software, so as I mentioned on recruitment, I did want to say, of course, shameless plug, we do actually specialize in recruitment. Our business started on the foundation of a recruitment business, and then shortly thereafter, we added on payroll and people management services. So we are experts in recruiting. We're experts in unemployment and workers' opportunity tax credit and everything that comes with hiring talent. So we have access to a ton of really great job boards, things that can be really expensive to small businesses. So we definitely can, of course, help find great talent in this space, especially if you're looking for somebody in the payroll operations manager type. Shoot, that's probably, I might have to fight you for them because we're hiring similar people to work for us. But we can absolutely bring some expertise in there. So just want to make sure everybody knows if you're struggling getting applications, or maybe your website says come on in and apply, please let us know so that way we can help get you some good job postings on different job boards and see if we can help filter through some really great candidates. So we've got a really great recruitment marketing team, and they do some custom advertising plans. We are using AI. And again, we help even look at, is your pay rates competitive? So we help cultivate that process as well. So I won't be showing any of that, but I definitely wanted to be sure and say, if you need help hiring, if you need help with job boards, please let us know. We definitely can step in and be a great partner there. Okay, so I am going to stop sharing for a moment, and I am going to get into my software because this is probably what most of you are here for. And without further ado, let's go ahead and get started. So I typically like to start with the employee's experience because I really drive home the employee's experience in all of this is so important. Yes, we're trying to make your lives easier. Well, a lot of times that starts with the employees. If they're having to come to you less because they have more, then that's going to create more time for you. So, and I think the employee experience is great. If you're new to iSolved, if you're not working with us at all, please ask questions of me and how you can do different things, because this is a completely tailored solution. It's a blank slate. A lot of times when you work with these big software solutions, they make you set your own stuff up and it's all set up the same. Well, with us, we're really trying to use this system to cultivate it to what you need. So, and we're going to be talking about how people in your industry tend to use this software and what kind of package they use. So as an employee, I am logged in. There is a mobile app, by the way. If you don't have it, you can go to your app store and search for iSolved People Cloud, and you'll be able to find it and download it with your log in with your self-service information. Here on my home page, I can see where I can quickly clock in and out. Super easy to do. I can just hit punch. Well, of course, I was talking to you all for too long, apparently, and it's timed me out. We all know how that is. We're going to get timed out for security purposes. All right. Okay, so as I was saying, super easy to do to clock in and out. I'm just going to hit punch. And guess what? I'm clocked in. Easy as that. That's what timekeeping should be. Now, I know what you're thinking. Well, I don't necessarily have trust in all of my employees, maybe some of my employees, but not all of them. I don't want them doing this from their phone. We can set up geolocation restrictions and IP address restrictions. So the geolocation is for tracking where people are. So if you allow them to use their phone, the mobile app to clock in and out, you can restrict that and to be able to track those calculations of where they're at. And then the IP address restrictions basically says they have to be on a specific computer to be able to clock in and out. So definitely can restrict that down. Everybody gets a little scared about that. There's also physical time clocks available if that is something that's a necessity. In your industry, it shouldn't be a necessity. You shouldn't have a physical time clock because you have computers, and I definitely recommend doing it that way or using the mobile app. So I'm clocked in for the day. Great news there. If for some reason I forgot to clock in when I got here this morning and it's lunchtime and I'm coming to clock out for lunch, I can submit a missing punch to my supervisor. So when I click on missing punch, it's going to take me to this little screen here. And I can, I don't need to indicate whether it was in or out. The system's intuitive enough to know. And I can just simply say, a patient showed up early, forgot to clock in. Save. And so that's going to route a notification to my supervisor, or if I'm the office manager, to me, to let me know that there's a missed punch that needs approved. So that way, when you go to do payroll, you're not having to track down all these missed punches. The employees have the ability to submit that themselves. And again, most people are like, oh, my employees aren't going to do that. It usually takes a little bit of time, but I promise eventually they will. Change is hard. for everyone. So submit Miss Punch, fabulous feature. Please definitely use it. If you're not, let me know. Happy to turn that on and make sure you know how to use it. So over here on the right, it's a quick little snapshot of my time off requests. I have this many hours and I have 8 hours pending. So my projected time off, oof, this guy's in the negative, taking a lot of time off this year. But as you can see, that all of that stuff is in here to be shown. Now we can keep them from going into the negative. We can allow them to go into the negative a certain amount. That's back to the solution being super tailored. This is one of the number one things that I see small practices not doing is automating their time off and tracking the accruals. If you are using a spreadsheet, if you're getting an email or a little slip of paper that says, I want to be off this day, this is the easiest thing that you can do to streamline some things and to give you some time back. And again, employees want to see their information. So let's say I need to request some time off. I can get into my app and I can come over here and it opens a little window and I'm going to say vacation on, well, I'd like Good Friday off. And my shift starts at 8 o'clock and I need 8 hours off with the kids. So then I can hit submit. And if I don't have any time available and you ask and you want those settings in there, it could actually stop them from requesting the time off. It's going to notify them that they can't because their balance is negative. Or again, it's going to go ahead and let them to each their own on how they want this set up. Okay, so as I scroll over to the left up here, I've got my managed toolbox, and this is where you'll find all of your tools on the left-hand side. So manage is going to show up for those people that are manager or supervisors. So that way you can use your app to do a lot of these tasks for payroll. Now, some of this stuff is best to be done on the admin side of things, the traditional view. But if you're wanting to keep track of time cards and some of that stuff, and you want to use your app, that's definitely what I recommend doing. The payroll process is going to be much better and easier. However, as of right now, iSolved is still developing things, but it's going to be best used through the traditional portal. But regardless, I'm going to look at my tasks right now. I can see I have a couple punches that need reviewed. I have some time cards that I need to approve as well as a time off. So when I come to review here, I can see that Heidi wants some time off and I can either hit approve or reject. Now, clearly when you're approving time off, you want to be sure and look at the calendar. There's this little show button down here that will show you, okay, she wants off 3/29. I don't have anybody else off on 3/29. It would tell me down here if there was anybody off scheduled. So as far as I'm concerned, Heidi can be off on the 29th as well. Okay, so then we just hit process and it's good to go. Pending punches, where I just had shown everyone how someone submits a missed punch. This is how a manager supervisor sees and approves them. So this employee put in a missed punch. Well, this is a little older one, but forgot to clock in. I can come right to this ... and hit approve or reject. And that's going to go right to my time card so I don't have to add it. All right, so that's a quick look at the manage. So again, time cards have to be kept on file for 7 years. Use automated timekeeping, especially one that's integrated with payroll. This is a really easy solution to use and to navigate through, and happy to go into more detail for that. But employees like it. They like the ease of it. They like to be able to request time off in here, see their balances, and they can even see a team calendar too. And we can set up rules and restrictions on how many people can be out on a day. So I have that set up for our team. There's only a certain amount that I could really have off on a Friday. And so that will block them once it gets to that number, they won't be able to request that time off. So there is a scheduler in here as well, and I like that view more so from the classic view, so I'll show that here in just a moment. From an employee's perspective, they can update their tax Tax filings, that is really important right now. Everybody's filing their tax returns and they're adjusting their W-4s left and right. So I'm sure you've heard from your staff about that. And then in pay history, somebody needs to get a pay stub. This can download straight to the phone so they can attach it somewhere in a portal for loans, etc. So here you can see most recent pay stub. I can come down to download multiple stubs, or I can just download my most recent one. So if I had year-end tax forms in here, it would show my W-2. That stuff never goes away. It's always going to be available for them. And then in personal, one really cool piece that I like, again, in relation to compliance. So underneath the personal, you can actually communicate with your team through their self-service portal. So if you have updated your handbook, that's where you put this here. If you don't have a handbook, I definitely recommend you getting one. It's important, especially because, again, you get one grumpy employee and you don't have a handbook and stuff documented. Certain states, that could really get you in a pickle when it comes to compliance. So putting handbook updates in here so that way everyone can sign off on them. And if there's ever an issue, you can actually say, this is where this is at. I have an electronic filing cabinet. It was acknowledged at this point in time. Mandatory trainings and things like that. In this case, you can do kind of ancillary trainings through the employee message feature. So sexual harassment training, there's a link to the video. It can walk you through that so you can make sure you're tracking who's watched their training for the year. So New York, California, Illinois, some of those other states that require some of those mandated trainings, some clients choose to use this as their avenue rather than a learning management system. So really cool stuff you can do with employee messages. Some people post about company picnics or Christmas parties, or you can get really creative with this stuff, and you can require like a notification to be sent to everyone via the mobile app, via push notification or an email. You can require acknowledgement, or you can just post it out there for them. So that's a super cool feature. And documents as well. I talked about time cards on file for 7 years. You've got to have your I-9. You've got to have your W-4, employment application for a year. Some of these forms are 3 years, 4 years, 7 years, 1 year. Oh my gosh, keeping track is hard. So if you're using a software, doesn't matter how big you are, use a software to keep all that stuff in storage so then you don't have to worry about it. And then there's those other nuances of, oh, well, they've got a doctor's note. And I put my doctor's note in with the W-4. Well, you cannot put personal health information in the same personnel file as your direct deposit and your W-4 and everything else. So having that kind of like that library to categorize it all is a really nice feature that everyone can benefit from. Employees can upload that stuff in there, doctor's notes, etc., and it knows exactly where to put it. This is also where the documents go for electronic onboarding. All right, from a benefits standpoint, again, I told you I'm a little bit of a nerd when it comes to benefits because I think I hear people grumble about open enrollment the most. That and time off request tracking, and just trying to keep up with compliance. So we have open enrollment set up for this demo account presently. And so employees can do this from home with their staff. So we work directly with the broker to keep you as out of this as we can, to streamline and to get the good communication in there and to make it a really good experience. We can give your brokers access to the system as well so they can pull enrollment reports. Again, making this easy is the name of our game. So when I come down here to open enrollment, I can see different benefit handbooks attached. I can attach different links. If I need to find a provider, all that good stuff can be attached in that custom message. When I hit continue, now there are new updates coming to this soon, so I'm just going to briefly go over this. I mentioned earlier that there's AI tools that's going to be integrated into this, and it's going to tell employees what to enroll in, or suggest, I should say, based off of their different data that they put in. So that is coming, and it looks very similar to this. There's just there's a spot in there that kind of stops them to survey them, if you so choose to. So this is where we add our beneficiaries and dependents. And health and wellness, if your medical plan has a premium for tobacco users or wellness plans, you can select that in here so where it calculates that deduction correctly. A lot of people get tripped up on when they're reconciling their bills because they're having a hard time keeping up with adding deductions into payroll. If you do the open enrollment, that is automatically in the system. You just approve those things. So the employees are controlling their data, and then it goes through to payroll and then your bill reconciliation. It's all married together and it's a wonderful life. So down here, you can see there's a current benefits screen that will tell you what you have covered in right now. You can choose to set this up as passive enrollment, meaning year over year, employees can just say, I want what I already have. I don't need to change anything. Or you can make them select what they want new every year, in which case current benefits is important. Cost analysis. The world is cost conscious right now, so it's really important to be able to see the breakdown of all of that. And then when I come down here to the bottom, I can look at some of these plans that are part of this open enrollment. I can see what it's going to cost me per pay, per month, per year. And you can see I have a little shopping cart up here because people like shopping carts, right? People like to shop around and it just makes it kind of fun. So you can edit the selection. This is one that's already started. So short-term disability is covered by the employer. You can actually choose to show that cost because it is part of their compensation package. And it actually tells you your coverage amounts. Same for long-term disability. With life, you can come in here and edit your amount of your selection. So let's say I want 200,000 in coverage. It's going to tell me that it's going to be 808 as my deduction right there. So as I choose my different coverage for my life insurance, it's going to tell me. And again, I already added my beneficiary and dependents up top. So then down here, I can actually say who my beneficiaries is. So if Jack is getting 100% of this benefit, I can put this here, and then I can add a contingent benefit percentage there. So really cool. And then this sends it over to the carrier. So they have all of that information, less reporting for you. And then dental, if you have multiple different plans, they can see the difference in the plans. You can add some different messages. So this is just a quick look at that really cool talent management, benefits management. Then just below that is your talent management, which is your learning management system. And that's about it. That's all the time I'm really going to spend on the employee's perspective. So I want to look at this learning management system to show everyone what it could look like, what options are available if you're working with us presently. So this, if I just search the university, which everyone has access to the university for training on how to use the software, there's additional training material that you can opt into that will load into your environment to where you can build your own trainings, and you can also use the pre-built. There's like thousands of courses in there. So I just searched healthcare in here, and you can see I come up with several different videos, accountability training, bloodborne pathogens, hand hygiene, legal issues in healthcare. I mean, all sorts of really great stuff is available. There's some OSHA incident training, you name it. So program billing, coding, and claims. Great stuff in here that can be used through the learning management system, and you can track. We like to incentivize continued education and learning and training. So that is something that we actually will, if people pass certifications, we give them additional compensation because they're pouring themselves into their career and taking these additional courses. And that's how you develop, and that's how you retain really great team members. So some great stuff in the university. Feel free to, again, reach out and ask me questions about that. So now let's get back into the admin portal. So we are going to take a look at a couple of those other key items that people in the healthcare industry tend to want to talk to me about. And I am going to go into just kind of that top left corner. So most of you have access to this already if you are a partner of ours. So underneath employee admin tools, employee administration, this is where you can see some different compensation management tools. So if you wanted to set up some different tiered levels of compensation. You can put that in there. Employee scheduling. So if I want to go to my default schedule, actually, I'm going to go to the scheduler. I think I've got some generic stuff set in here to show you all. So if I want to set the schedule for the month or even the next pay period, I can come in here and see all of my staff to add, and you can see it puts those absences on my calendar. So let's say for Kevin, I click on it. These are shifts that are all set up in my drop down. I have 4 different ones to choose from. Let's say I want Kevin to work this 8 to 4. And I'm going to hit post, and you can see that will create a schedule. So you can customize, tailor this, and this will actually, employees can see their schedules through their mobile app. You can print a weekly schedule from here. You can copy previous schedules to where it just carries over to the next pay period, so you don't have to manually add any of this. So really cool features from the scheduler functionality. And what's nice is that with this and the timekeeping together, that's really where you can do a really nice job tracking who's in early, who's in late, missed shifts, etc. Now, I don't tend to get asked about this in your industry, but some will like to use that swap shift feature. So if an employee is not available for their shift, they may be able to ask and put it on their swap board and put an open shift out there for somebody to pick up. That is definitely something, and just depending in the healthcare space, more RNs on call, I would say like in-home care, those type of people may want to use that swap board to be able to request to swap shifts if something comes up and doesn't work. So that's a really fun feature. I-9 management, E-Verify, again, just depending on what state you all are in, really impacts whether or not you need to be doing E-Verify, but everyone should be collecting an I-9 at the employment when someone's applying on the first day. So if we're using the automated onboarding where the employees fill that out through this system, then you're capturing the employee's I-9 portion there, and then you as the employer should be filling that out as you go. So, but I can use my I-9 dashboard to see if there's any new hires that I missed, because the last thing you want to do is have an audit come in and realize I missed a dozen I-9 verifications. And then in the employee analytics, I always like to show this because this is in here, guys. You can already take a look at this and use this, but anniversaries, birthdays, I'm a celebrate every chance you get kind of person. My team will tell you that. And I think it makes a difference when you recognize that with individuals. So certifications, I talked about that previously. So you can see this tells me any certifications that I have, the effective date and the expiration date. So when I look at Cameron, I've got a fraud prevention certification that's expiring in October. So this is just a dashboard, and you can run reports off of any of these screens. So if you need to then just filter out, maybe you were looking for CPR trainings, you can come here and hit this little filter up top and it will show you the list. And up here in this top right corner, you can hit this to export the data. And so you've got an instant report right there of who has what certifications and when's it expiring. So this is just a real quick spot to get it. And again, you can set up those workflows too to notify you, but this is a nice spot if you're just doing it quarterly, looking at your certifications, you can come in and run that report. Employee salary versus hourly list, your hires and terms, emergency contacts, electronic elections, qualifying life events. So if I have a baby or I get a divorce or married, what have you, you can log that in the system and it will actually trigger their eligibility to enroll in benefits. So employees can have access to all of that information. So there's no lapse in benefit coverage. It's really nice to be able to do there as well. And then for training, I can come in here and see what training needs to be done. And that's linked into that learning management system I showed you. Okay, so let's quickly, because I want to be conscious of time here, we've got just a little bit left, take a look at OSHA incidents because that is definitely relevant in the industry. So for OSHA incidents here, there is a great spot to track and record these. And you, of course, need to be doing reportings once these happen. So there are OSHA reports that generate based off of this being logged, and you can then use that report to send it in or to fill it out online. I know we have a couple people that we have a partner that we know that actually helps support OSHA management claims, but this is actually a great spot to track and record all of this. So you can log as many as you need to and report those as needed, and it does generate that report. If you are in the state of Illinois, then you're required to do equal pay reporting. That is in here as well. Additionally, if you're required to do EEOC reporting based off of that employee count, you can run those analytics in here and capture all of the data that's required for that. So there's a lot of reporting outside of taxes that iSolve can accommodate to with recording of the proper data. So everything up here is really where that HCM or HRIS software comes into play. Underneath human resources, you can track company assets, who has a cell phone, who has a door key, who has a laptop. All of those things you can track here. So then when you terminate someone, you know exactly what you need to get back. You can track it, etc. So a lot of people have, they contract out IT services. IT people like to see this because they can run reports and see where the equipment sits. So then again, you're not tracking it on a spreadsheet. Disciplinary actions and performance reviews, awards, etc. You can do all of that through the system in here. Again, when we talk about the HR analytics being a desired item, that is a big one, and employees can be engaged with through the system with performance reviews. For sake of time, I won't go into that today, but it is definitely in here where you can schedule a review, you can add corrective actions, you can make that private to where only you all are seeing it, because when you terminate someone, if you fire someone, you need to be documenting any kind of performance issues as you go. You can't just say, yeah, well, I told them they couldn't keep that, they next time they show up late, they're fired. No, you really need to be documenting this stuff. So coming in here to occurrences and logging, we've got a tardiness that's happened, showing up 1 hour late, overslept, etc. Then it's easier to fight unemployment claims because you have to manage those unemployment claims to keep that rate low. That is one thing we spend a ton of time on at higher level, is managing unemployment claims, because we are in the recruitment space, and sometimes things do happen with people. Not everybody is as honorable as we would like them to be. And so we have to protest when some of this stuff happens, because otherwise, if you're not protesting unemployment claims, your annual unemployment rate will skyrocket, and that could cost you thousands of dollars. So if you're not sure how to protest a claim, please let us know. We're happy to educate in that, but use the system. It's there. It's ready for you to use. You can definitely track all of that. So just summarize this up, because I've gone through a lot already, and there's, again, we could be here all day and go to happy hour, and there's still be more that I could talk about. But these are the key core fundamental things that people in the healthcare industry need, that they're looking for, and it's going to set them up. So when we work with partners, this is what we're doing. We're cultivating these screens for them. I didn't show electronic onboarding. That's a pretty easy one, but it's a great one. If you're just still making employees fill out paperwork when they start from you, please talk to me about it, because I promise it will change your life. And, even with termination, having that data in the system, time off requests, compliance, compliance, compliance. It's the name of the game. It's the world we live in. So how do you continue to use software to keep you able to sleep at night, right? What keeps you up? Well, if you're managing people, a payroll, if you're managing people in general, I'm going to tell you a lot of times it's compliance and paying people on time. And there's always a laundry list of things to do, and you're probably wearing a lot of hats. So please don't be shy to give me a call, to reach out to your person that you feel comfortable with. This is what we do. This is who we are. We have a really great software, but we want to share our experiences in the world with you to hopefully help make your people management strategies that much easier. So without further ado here, let's lead into questions. If you have any questions for me, if you'd like me to show anything specific, please feel free to drop that in the chat. I did want to also note, I failed to share this screen for too long because I jumped to my presentation. With your W-2s, there was a coupon that was sent out for $500 off of new products. I wanted to be sure and say that that is for new services. So anything that I went over today that maybe has a cost associated with it, if you're interested in hearing more about specific things, let me know. By joining the webinar, you're eligible to push that promotion out further. We were stopping it here in March, but this will extend that promo for you if you choose to use it. So one question with geolocation, how far and close can you set it? That is a great question. So we can do it as far or as close as you need to. So sometimes when we set that up, it ultimately is a little bit of touch and go. The most standard that we set that up to is usually like 1/10 of a mile, and to where they're right there. So now every now and then, if you're in a rural spot, we have to push it out a little bit because it depends on when those cell phones ping to their towers. But anymore now today, I very seldom have to do that. Years ago, we had to kind of widen it a little bit more, but now we are able to get it really, really close to where it's in the parking lot. Definitely a really great feature to use. And so you can actually turn on levels of alerts that say where they're at. So if you're worried about people signing in from the parking lot, I definitely recommend then the IP address restrictions. Yeah, I mean, ultimately, if you had the mobile app turned on, they could clock in from the parking lot because it's going to get that close. But if you're really worried about that, that's when I say do the IP address restrictions. But I feel like maybe the geolocation is better. I mean, we have it at our office and it's right at our office. They're clocking it at, so it's not any further than within our parking lot. So I know I've got many stories about people not having that turned on, but it always tracks the location no matter what. So we had somebody a couple years ago who just was clocking in at the exact same time every single day. And when we helped look at it, come to find out they did not use the geofencing, but they used geolocation. So you could see the coordinates where they were. And this person was at Cracker Barrel. I mean, all crazy stuff. And she just was uniform clocking in. So we were able to catch that. Okay, what's the cost of this new app? So the app, there is no cost to that. Really how iSolved works is it is more of a kind of like a go up to the buffet and say what you want. So a couple of these features do have some monthly costs associated, like benefits automation and onboarding. But to get the app with some of this HR stuff, and I'm happy to talk in detail with that on you, that's just coming with it. And it's just a matter of turning on the access. So definitely can already use the app. So with time off, does the amount of time include the current accrual down to the day or the month? Great question. So depending on your accrual plan, so if you accrue based off of hours worked, it's going to look at the normal hours for you and then project into what balance you would have into the future. But if you're accruing by, let's say, 3 hours per check or X amount of hours per month, it's going to look at it. It's going to tell you future balance, and it's going to tell you the balance right now. So it just depends on how that plan's built out, but it's going to be very accurate in how it's using it. I am happy to follow up with the QR code to be able to download the app for your teams. So I can send that with the presentation so everyone has that. Definitely download it first so you can take a look at it. But employees love it. It's super easy to use for those pay stubs and W-2s and all that. Will it know that you have already taken a day off that particular week and still know the projected days off? Yes, absolutely. It will be able to tell you based off of, and I can probably show it here. Let's go take a look at our absence screen. Now, this is a demo account, so I don't have as many in here. So you can see right here, this is kind of the back end side of looking at these absences, what time off is being used. So I'm going to put in time for next Monday. I'll use my vacation and 8 hours. And again, this is back end, so the employees would or would not be able to request it depending on your rules. So you can see how it put me from -2 to -10. If I accrued within that time, it would give me estimated hours based off of my accrual being in there. But so let's see if we can, I don't know how this plan's set up, but it's gonna tell you based off of what I have requested now and what I could potentially accumulate. It has different kind of formulas in the back end that's going to project that. So it's generally very, very accurate on how that's happening. So as you go, it tells you that projected balance. And this is just the back end side. If you need to delete time, etc., this is where I can see a snapshot of all of that. But when they request off through the mobile app, it will tell them all of that as well. And it will keep them from requesting time off if you want to. Okay, well, I really do appreciate you guys joining in, and hopefully you got some small tidbits from me. Happy to have a great consultative conversation with you about using the system. Lean into it. Doesn't matter how big or small you are. Lean into us to help you guide you through streamlining these processes. And again, thank you so much for spending some time with me. I hope you all have a wonderful day. Take care.